Thanks for staying tuned. St. Lucia and the rest of the Caribbean today received the news of a major jolt to the original insurance industry. Massey Insurance has sold most of its share to a Bermudan business interest. We hear more in this report.
Massey Holdings Limited has sold its 100% interest in Massey United Insurance Limited to the Bermuda-based Carlyle Group for $90.5 million US. On September 2nd, Massey Barbados entered into a share purchase agreement with the Carlyle Group. Massey Holdings says this transaction represents its exit from the property and casualty insurance business line. Minister of Energy and Energy Industries, Stuart Young, today met virtually with BP's Executive Vice President Gas and Low Carbon Energy, Dev Sanyal, and BP's Senior Vice President Claire Fitzpatrick to discuss, among other things, the restructuring of Atlantic LNG and the importance of the ongoing negotiations pertaining to Atlantic. Sanyal emphasized that even as BP navigates the energy transition, quote, gas is an essential and integral part of the transition and will be the stabilizing influence for decades to come, end quote. Joel Julian, CNC3, Business.
The wave of protests continues in St. Vincent. In recent weeks, there have been several anti-government protests in the island's capital in opposition to government measures on vaccination and other COVID-related issues. Here are some of the scenes from downtown Kingstown this afternoon.
So we are coming to you live from Kingstown, St. Vincent. What's taking place right now is a standoff between St. Vincent Police and the protesters. The Public Service Union of St. Vincent, opposition members and social groups. Several persons have been taken into custody already. I understand that the Vice President of the NDP, Major Sinclair Leacock, also went to the police station to have a word with the High Command as to what's taking place. Right now, what we're seeing is a show of force by the police on the Caribbean island. Lots of police officers out today, and will not be able to tell you at the moment what is exactly they're doing. What I can tell the guys at the BBC is that St. Vincent and the Grenadines right now, because we're doing this link as well, we're not too sure exactly what is taking place, but the police is out in their numbers. Lawyer Kibakis is trying to tell them not to do that, the protesters. It's a dire situation here on the Caribbean island. We've never seen such taking place before, where such a show of force is out. There are not even maybe 600 protesters on the street, but it appears that the entire force has come out to do what we don't know. Our fire truck is getting ready to come. And the police have been commanded to move up. Don't want anyone behind that line, no civilian. We're not sure what is taking place. Our fire truck is coming. I believe they'll be dousing the protesters with water. That is what is taking place on the Caribbean island of St. Vincent. A lot of confusion at this point in time. We're trying to make sense of what is happening. It's a bit difficult to make sense of what is happening. A lot of confusion. What we can tell you right now is that the police force is out. Heavy police presence in capital Kingstown. A protest is going on in the opposition, the Public Service Union, the teachers are out, and the police is here. We're not too sure what they will be doing. Moments ago, we understand that the police would have told protesters that they cannot beat a drum. We have never heard of such before, where civilians cannot beat a drum in the city. And they're saying that the drum is a musical instrument.
In more regional news, the government of Trinidad and Tobago has resisted calls from the public and decided to stick to its protocols regarding entry into and out of Trinidad and Tobago. We hear more in this report.
Tuesday's clarification that 2 fully vaccinated people who entered the country were discovered to be infected with the Delta variant has raised concerns over the country's entry protocols. Under the current scheme, these people would have been allowed to bypass any quarantine or PCR tests upon arrival. Theoretically, this means they could have been spreading the virus at home. But today, the chief medical officer explained that the cases were relatively contained. He says the first person was an oil and gas worker who was in company-mandated quarantine and the disease was detected during routine testing. He says this person interacted with around 8 people while there, but they did not contract the disease. The second person, he says, went home upon arriving and was tested 5 days later after they developed mild symptoms. The CMO explains they only had around 4 contacts, all of whom tested negative for COVID-19. Despite these cases, he says there is no need to tailor the entry protocols because they're the only such instances since the border reopened on July 17th.
If we look at that cohort, 2 persons positive out of 14,222, it means that 99.986% of them did not develop COVID upon entry into the country, at least that we are not aware. It is an extremely small percentage of people to change the policy for.
He says the use of a negative PCR test within 72 hours of arrival has significantly reduced the possibility of importing COVID-19. But he reiterates that there is some personal responsibility that lies with the traveler.
We ask you to be a little more vigilant than necessary. If you have symptoms, be tested as soon as you can. Of course, be wary of contacts. Try to keep your contact group to a minimum as much as you can and protect your loved ones as best as you could.
He also advises that relatives of travelers also take precautions such as getting vaccinated if they intend to be in contact with them. Rashad Khan, CNC3 News.
You're watching the Hot 7 Nightly News. When we return, the latest weather report.